For thousands of years, the story of Atlantis has haunted the imagination of humankind. Was it a paradise lost beneath the waves? A supercivilization that mastered technologies far beyond its time? Or was it simply a myth, created to teach lessons about arrogance, power, and downfall? The earliest known account of Atlantis comes not from obscure folklore, but from one of the greatest minds in history, the Greek philosopher Plato. Around 360 BCE, in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, Plato described a magnificent island empire that lay beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. According to him, Atlantis was larger than Libya and Asia combined, a powerful naval force that once threatened Greece and the entire known world. But most importantly, he described Atlantis not just as a kingdom, but as an advanced civilization. It possessed monumental architecture, extraordinary wealth, and perhaps technologies so refined they bordered on the supernatural. Plato said that Atlantis existed about 9,000 years before his time, that's roughly 11,600 years ago, deep in prehistory. Skeptics argue Plato made it up, using Atlantis as an allegory for human hubris, a cautionary tale about pride and downfall. Yet believers ask, how could Plato have invented such a detailed account without inspiration from real, forgotten history? Across cultures worldwide, we find similar stories, a golden civilization destroyed in a great flood. From the Epic of Gilgamesh in Mesopotamia, to Hindu tales of the Great Deluge, to Native American stories of submerged lands, humanity's memory seems to be haunted by a universal catastrophe. Could Atlantis be the Greek version of this global memory? Modern researchers have suggested dozens of possible locations. Some point to Santorini, where a massive volcanic eruption destroyed the Minoan civilization. Others claim the Bahamas hide submerged ruins like the Bimini Road. Some even argue Atlantis lies under the ice of Antarctica. No matter the location, one thing is clear: Atlantis represents something humanity desperately longs to find, proof that advanced civilizations may have risen and fallen long before ours. Plato was clear on one point: Atlantis fell because of its own arrogance. The Atlanteans, he said, became corrupt and power-hungry. As punishment, the gods unleashed earthquakes and floods that swallowed the island in a single day and night of misfortune. To many, this sounds like pure allegory. But to others, it is a chilling reminder that even the mightiest civilizations can collapse, sometimes suddenly, without warning. What if Atlantis is not just a myth, but a memory? Whether myth or reality, Atlantis remains one of the most enduring mysteries of all time. And perhaps that's the point: it invites us to look beyond our known history, to imagine what might lie hidden in the depths of our forgotten past. And that's where our journey continues, because the most fascinating part of the Atlantis legend is not just its fall, but its rise. What kind of technologies did the Atlanteans possess? Could they really have achieved a level of science we are only beginning to rediscover today? Plato spoke of Atlantis as a land of incredible wealth and resources: forests, fertile plains, rare metals like orichalcum, and a central city designed with precision. But beyond wealth, many believe the Atlanteans had mastered technologies far beyond their time. According to later interpretations of the legend, the Atlanteans may have used crystals as energy sources. Mystics and theorists describe Atlantean power crystals that captured and amplified natural energy, perhaps solar, geothermal, or something we don't yet understand. These crystals could have powered entire cities, ships, and even advanced machines. It may sound far-fetched, but consider this: modern science has discovered that crystals can indeed store, amplify, and transfer energy. Quartz, for example, is used in watches, radios, and electronics because of its piezoelectric properties. What if the Atlanteans had mastered crystal technology thousands of years before us? Plato described Atlantis as a city of concentric rings, connected by canals and bridges. Its architecture was monumental, covered in metals that shimmered with brilliance. Some accounts suggest Atlanteans knew how to build earthquake-resistant structures, something our modern world still struggles with. Across the globe, we find megalithic structures, giant stone monuments in Egypt, Peru, and Turkey, that defy simple explanations. Did this knowledge stem from a lost civilization like Atlantis? If Atlantis was a seafaring empire, it must have had remarkable navigation technologies. Ancient maps, such as the controversial Piri Reis map of 1513, show coastlines of South America and Antarctica with astonishing accuracy. How could cartographers of the Middle Ages possess knowledge that seems older than their own era? Some suggest this knowledge was inherited from older civilizations, perhaps Atlantis. Legends claim the Atlanteans had deep understanding of the human body and soul. They were said to practice advanced medicine, even genetic manipulation. Some myths describe them as experimenting with crossbreeding, creating hybrid creatures. While this may sound mythical, it raises a question: could ancient civilizations have experimented with biology in ways that left echoes in myth? Many researchers draw striking parallels between Atlantis and our modern world. A civilization rich in technology, masters of energy, builders of great cities, but also arrogant, power-hungry, and careless with nature. Atlantis, then, becomes more than history, it becomes a mirror. But technology was not enough to save Atlantis. At the height of its glory, disaster struck. And this leads us to the final chapter of the story. Plato described the end of Atlantis as swift and catastrophic. In a single day and night, earthquakes and floods consumed the mighty empire. What could have caused such destruction? Some point to volcanic eruptions, such as Thera, which devastated the Minoans. Others imagine a massive tsunami sweeping away coastal cities in an instant. Still others look to the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, which suggests a comet struck Earth about 12,000 years ago, exactly when Atlantis was said to vanish. And there are those who believe Atlantis fell not to nature, but to its own hubris, its technologies spiraling out of control. If Atlantis was real, did its people vanish entirely? Or did survivors spread across the globe, carrying fragments of their knowledge? Some believe the Atlanteans influenced Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Mesoamerica. Ancient myths of gods who came from across the sea, teaching agriculture, astronomy, and writing, may have been echoes of Atlantean refugees. Quetzalcoatl in Mexico, Oannes in Mesopotamia, and Thoth in Egypt all fit this mysterious archetype. Whether Atlantis was real or not, its lesson endures. A great civilization, undone not just by disaster, but by pride. Technology without wisdom. Power without balance. Today, as humanity wields forces like nuclear energy, artificial intelligence, and genetic engineering, the story of Atlantis feels less like myth and more like prophecy. Could we too follow their path, rising to great heights, only to collapse in a single night of reckoning? After more than 2,000 years, Atlantis remains both elusive and magnetic. It is a story that refuses to fade. And perhaps that's the true power of the legend: it keeps us searching, keeps us questioning, keeps us humble before the unknown depths of our past. Because maybe, just maybe, the ruins of Atlantis still lie hidden beneath the waves, waiting for us to rediscover them. But what if Atlantis is not just a story of the past? What if it is a story of our present, and our future? For centuries, Atlantis has been remembered as a ghost of the past. But what if the story is not finished? What if Atlantis is not simply something that was, but something that could be again? In recent decades, science has begun to uncover evidence that blurs the line between myth and history. Satellite scans reveal vast structures beneath the sands of the Sahara, suggesting forgotten cities. Sonar has detected strange geometric shapes deep on the ocean floor. And under the melting ice of Antarctica, radar has revealed mountains, valleys, and possible ruins long hidden from human eyes. Could these be the remnants of lost civilizations? Or are they the whispers of Atlantis, finally breaking through the veil of time? As we explore new frontiers, fusion energy, quantum computing, genetic engineering, we find ourselves echoing the myths of Atlantis. Power drawn from invisible sources. Manipulation of life itself. Networks that connect the entire world. Some believe that Atlantis was not just a story of the past, but a prophecy of cycles. Civilizations rise, reach for godlike power, and fall, only for the cycle to begin again. Could it be that we are now standing at the same threshold the Atlanteans once faced? Beyond science and technology, Atlantis is often remembered as a place of spiritual wisdom. A civilization that sought harmony with the cosmos, until greed overtook wisdom. Ancient mystics claim that the downfall of Atlantis was not just a natural disaster, but a fall in consciousness. And perhaps that is the true warning: technology alone cannot save us. Without balance, without wisdom, humanity risks repeating the mistakes of Atlantis. The real question may not be whether Atlantis existed in stone and water, but whether it exists within us. The memory of Atlantis might be a memory of human potential, a reminder of what we are capable of becoming, both for greatness and for destruction. We stand today with the tools to light cities without fire, to map galaxies, to reshape life itself. But the choice we face is the same as Atlantis: will we use this power to uplift humanity, or will we let arrogance drag us beneath the waves? Atlantis, then, is more than an ancient tale. It is a mirror, a prophecy, and perhaps even a destiny. Whether buried under oceans or alive in our imagination, Atlantis endures because it tells us something vital about ourselves, that every civilization carries within it the seeds of its own future, whether that future is rebirth or ruin. And so the final question remains: are we the heirs of Atlantis, or are we destined to become the next Atlantis? The legend of Atlantis does not exist in isolation. Around the world, in every corner of the earth, we find echoes, hints, fragments, and clues that seem to whisper of a forgotten chapter in human history. If Atlantis truly existed, then perhaps its memory has been scattered like seeds across cultures, myths, and ruins, waiting for us to piece the story back together. All across the globe stand monuments that defy conventional explanations. The pyramids of Giza, aligned with astronomical precision. The megaliths of Stonehenge, whose purpose still baffles us. The immense blocks of Sacsayhuaman in Peru, cut and fitted with such accuracy that even a blade of grass cannot slip between them. Conventional archaeology insists these were built with primitive tools, brute force, and generations of labor. Yet alternative researchers ask, how? How could Bronze Age or Neolithic societies carve, transport, and place multi-ton stones with such perfection? Did they inherit techniques from an older, more advanced civilization, perhaps survivors of Atlantis? And then there are the pyramids. They are not unique to Egypt. They appear in Mexico, Guatemala, Sudan, China, and even under the sands of Bosnia. Cultures separated by oceans and millennia somehow converged on the same design. Why? Some suggest the pyramid is a universal structure, discovered independently. Others see it as evidence of shared knowledge passed down from a forgotten source. Could Atlantis have been that source? Could its engineers have spread across the globe, seeding the pyramid-building tradition as a memory of their lost homeland? The ocean itself hides tantalizing secrets. Off the coast of Yonaguni, Japan, lie massive underwater structures, steps, terraces, and walls, that some claim are the ruins of an ancient city. Off the coast of India, near Dwarka, divers have found submerged temples and streets. Near Cuba, sonar has revealed geometric patterns deep below the sea. Are these natural formations? Or are they the drowned echoes of civilizations swept away by floods, civilizations that might once have been part of the Atlantean world? Legends across continents tell of mysterious figures who came from the sea. In Mesopotamia, there was Oannes, a being who emerged from the ocean to teach humanity writing, law, and agriculture. In Mesoamerica, the god Quetzalcoatl was said to have arrived from across the sea, bringing knowledge and order. In Egypt, Thoth, the god of wisdom, was sometimes linked to a land that had sunk beneath the waves. Are these myths coincidences? Or are they distorted memories of Atlantean survivors, refugees who carried their wisdom to new lands, becoming immortalized as gods in the eyes of less advanced societies? When we piece these clues together, the megaliths, the pyramids, the submerged ruins, the myths of teachers from the sea, we begin to see a web. A pattern that suggests a hidden story, that long before recorded history, there was a civilization so advanced, so far-reaching, that its collapse echoed across the world. Perhaps Atlantis was not a single city, but a network, a culture that spanned oceans, connected by trade, technology, and wisdom. When it fell, fragments of it survived in scattered lands, leaving behind the mysteries we now struggle to understand. The clues are there, waiting. But whether we interpret them as coincidence or confirmation depends on how far we are willing to stretch the boundaries of our accepted history. And yet, the story of Atlantis is not only about the past. It is about the future. For millennia, Atlantis has been remembered as a warning. A great civilization undone by its own arrogance, its technology, and its hunger for power. But today, as we look at our own world, the parallels are striking. Could it be that we are walking the same path? Consider what humanity has achieved in just a few centuries. We have split the atom, unlocked the genome, mapped the stars, and built machines that think. Artificial intelligence now writes, creates, and makes decisions once reserved for human minds. Genetic engineering allows us to reshape life itself. Energy systems promise power beyond imagination. Does this sound familiar? Legends tell of Atlanteans harnessing crystal energy, manipulating biology, and creating technologies beyond comprehension. Perhaps we are not inventing these things anew, but rediscovering them, repeating the arc of Atlantis in our own time. Plato said Atlantis fell in a single day and night of disaster. Our world today faces threats just as sudden and devastating. Climate change, rising seas, and melting ice caps threaten to swallow cities. Supervolcanoes and asteroid impacts remain possible. And some scientists warn that our own technologies, nuclear arsenals, AI run amok, or engineered pandemics, could bring collapse from within. Are we, like Atlantis, becoming masters of forces we cannot fully control? Mystics often said Atlantis fell not only because of disaster, but because of a fall in consciousness. The Atlanteans lost their balance between wisdom and power. They used their knowledge for conquest, greed, and arrogance, and the universe, or nature, responded. Today, humanity faces the same choice. Will we use our power to uplift, to harmonize, to expand into the stars? Or will we use it to dominate, to consume, to destroy ourselves? Some visionaries believe we can build a new Atlantis. Not a city of the past, but a future civilization, one that unites technology with wisdom, science with spirituality, power with balance. Perhaps the true legacy of Atlantis is not its destruction, but its dream, the dream of what humanity can become when it learns from the past. Imagine cities powered by clean, limitless energy. Medicine that heals not only the body, but the mind and spirit. Societies that honor knowledge, but also humility. Space colonies that carry human civilization beyond Earth, ensuring survival even if disaster strikes. This, too, is Atlantis. Not just the city lost to the sea, but the civilization humanity still has the chance to create. And so, after thousands of years, Atlantis still speaks to us. Its story is not finished, because we are living it. The final question is simple, yet profound. Are we the heirs of Atlantis, destined to rise where they fell? Or are we repeating their mistakes, blind to the warning written in the waves of history? The answer depends not on myth or memory, but on us. On the choices we make today. On whether we allow pride and power to consume us, or whether we choose wisdom, balance, and survival. Because in the end, every civilization carries within it the seeds of its own destruction, and the possibility of its rebirth. Atlantis was one. Ours may be next.